State Councillor Hua Jianmin, it's a great honor and pleasure to welcome you here in Davos. As you know, State Councillor, the World Economic Forum has established relations with your country over 25 years ago, actually in 1979. And since 1979, we always had the great privilege to receive here an important delegation from China. Of course, your country has substantially changed, and I would like to give you just two figures. The first one is that you have now over $1 trillion in foreign currency reserves. And the second figure is that you have today the largest number of Internet and mobile phone users globally. State Councillor, we are very proud that in the framework of our relations with China, we have opened an office in Beijing last year, and we are establishing in China a center for global growth companies, which means a center for the emerging companies on the global scene, companies growing very rapidly and companies which can be found particularly also in your country. We also have made the commitment, and we are working very closely with NDRC, the National Development and Research Council, to have a meeting similar to what we are doing here for those new champions in Dalian next year. And I invite you already very cordially to join the meeting and in such a way to learn more about China. It is now the third consecutive annual meeting where a Chinese state leader has come to Davos, and in view of the present policies, we are delighted to welcome His Excellency Hua Jianmin, who is State Councillor and Secretary General of the State Council. The challenge for China is to build a harmonious society at home while pursuing a path of peaceful development abroad. As Secretary General of the State Council, you are responsible for coordinating the State Council's efforts to address these twin challenges, and I should add, particularly also the challenge of energy and the challenge of the environment. Again, Your Excellency, we are honored to have you with us today in Davos. Ladies and gentlemen, State Councillor Hua Jianmin.
Distinguished President Schwab, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to attend the World Economic Forum annual meeting 2007 and speak on the shifting power equation, a highly attractive and relevant theme. In the past year, China registered fast economic growth with fairly high efficiency and low inflation rate. Its GDP was $2.6 trillion, up by about 10.7% over the previous year. Consumer prices increased by 1.5%. New jobs created in cities and towns numbered 11.84 million, an increase of 22% over the previous year. Total imports and exports rose by 23.8% to $1.76 trillion. We have particularly noticed that the fixed assets investment growth in China fell by 2 percentage points year-on-year. And the total retail sales growth rose by 0.8 percentage points. Recalling the 4 years following 2003, the world economy has maintained a good momentum of development with an average annual growth rate of 4.8% and an inflation rate of 3.7%. It has been in this global economic context that China has successfully managed to register a growth rate of 10 to 10.7% for the 4 consecutive years, with an inflation rate as low as 2.1%. These figures fully demonstrate how closely the Chinese economy is interconnected with the world economy. China needs the world in its economic growth and vice versa. Having said that, we are keenly aware of the enormous challenges and problems we face in economic development and social development. China's per capita GDP, which is around $2,000, is behind more than 100 countries. 20 to 30 million people in cities and the countryside still live under the poverty line. Other acute problems such as the imbalance between investment and consumption, unhealthy industrial structure, and the widening gap between urban and rural areas and between regions indicate that there is still a long way to go before China becomes modernized. Our immediate priority is to address uneven development and underdevelopment, which, if successfully tackled, will bring out potential for further growth. At present, industrialization and urbanization are accelerating. People's income levels rising and consumption structure is being upgraded. Investment and consumption have played a major role in boosting economic growth. Robust domestic demands and a huge home market will continue to sustain China's economic growth. The Chinese economy is expected to maintain impressive growth in 2007. Its macro regulation and management will be further improved. Actual domestic demands will continue to expand. Market mechanism is expected to play a bigger and more decisive role in the economy, and the Chinese people will be able to enjoy higher living standards. It has been nearly 30 years since China launched the Reform and Opening Up program. Deepening reform gives strong impetus to emancipating and developing productive forces. It will also provide institutional guarantee for economic and social development. We remain committed to opening wider to the outside world and work for a more open and dynamic economy. Throughout the modernization process, we must not waver in our commitment to reform and opening up. We must move forward. And going back is not an option. We have full confidence in China's future. Ladies and gentlemen, the world continues to undergo extensive and profound changes in the 21st century. And China is witnessing tremendous development and changes in its economy and society. How to move forward amid changes and achieve harmony through development is a major common concern of us all. Standing at a new starting point and building on its past experience in development, China has chosen, in noting and keeping with the global trend, a path of development in scientific, harmonious and peaceful approach suited to its national conditions and our time. To pursue a people-centered policy and achieve all-round, coordinated, and sustainable development is at the core of development in scientific approach. At present, we are focusing on the following 4 aspects. First, promote efficient and fast economic growth. While striving to maintain fast and steady economic growth, we will put efficiency before speed, focus on structural improvement, and enhance economic performance and efficiency. Despite many favorable conditions for sustaining fast and steady economic growth, we must step up efforts to transform the growth mode. If China is able to maintain steady economic growth for its 1.3 billion people and avoid the boom-bust cycle, it will be an important contribution to peace and development of mankind. Second, conserve energy and reduce energy consumption and pollution. Our goal is to build up a resources-efficient and environment-friendly society. By 2010, we will cut energy consumption per unit of GDP by about 20%, reduce emission of major pollutants by 10%, and increase the recycle rate of industrial solid waste to 60%. We will increase the forest coverage rate by 1.8 percentage points over that of 2005. We will endeavor to build a stable, efficient, and clean energy system by mainly relying on domestic supply, and giving top priority to energy conservation. We will vigorously develop a circular economy and protect the ecosystem. Third, attach importance to issues related to agriculture, rural areas, and farmers. Rural population accounts for over half of the total population of China. To support agricultural development, promote rural economic prosperity, and increase rural income are top priorities on our modernization agenda. Lastly, the agricultural tax was rescinded nationwide, and the central budget allocation for the countryside increased by 14% over the year before. We will continue to strive for coordinated development between rural and urban areas and follow the principle of industry nurturing agriculture and cities supporting the countryside. By modernizing agriculture, we will guide the orderly migration of surplus rural laborers to cities and create a level playing field for rural and urban dwellers in pursuing employment opportunities. Fourth, enhance the capacity for independent innovation. In the mix of essential factors of productivity in China, science and technology only has a small share. We have made it part of our national strategy to enhance the capacity for independent innovation and formulated national guidelines for mid- and long-term scientific and technological development. Our goal is to enhance our capacity for indigenous innovation, integration-based innovation, and re-innovation upon assimilation. We aim to put in place a national innovation system and give full play to companies in technological innovation. We are stepping up efforts to turn scientific and technological achievements into real productive capabilities. All this must be based on better protection of intellectual property rights. IPR infringements will be dealt with and punished in compliance with the law. The key to harmonious development is to care for people's livelihood, improve public services, and promote equity and social justice. Our priority is to address issues of interest that are of the greatest concern to our people. We will continue to implement the forward-looking employment policy. The oversupply of labor and the shortage of skilled workers in some sectors exist side by side in China. Taking job creation as one of the top priorities on our economic and social agenda, we are developing the service sector and the small and medium-sized enterprises that have large employment capacities. While ensuring the lawful rights and interests of the workers, we are cultivating a harmonious relationship between the employers and the employees. Vocational education and skill training have been bolstered to better equip workers for jobs. In particular, we are encouraging workers to start their own businesses to create jobs for themselves and others. In recent years, about 10 million jobs have been created each year. We expedite the process of improving the income distribution system. We depend on the people to make the pie bigger and create synergy by dividing the pie fairly and ease the growing disparities in income distribution. The central government has been increasing annual transfer payment to poor regions and the rural areas to gradually narrow the gap between regions and the rural and urban areas. Last year, the threshold of monthly personal income tax was raised from 800 RMB yuan to 1,600 RMB yuan, reducing the number of taxpayers by over 20 million. The local governments all raised the standards of minimum wages and improved the salary growth mechanism for enterprise employees. The urban and rural income has registered actual growth of 10.4% and 7.4% respectively over the year before. In general, we will continuously raise the income level of the lower income group, gradually enlarge the middle income group, and effectively regulate the income of the higher income group in order to realize common prosperity. We will improve the social security system step by step. To adapt to the market economy and cope with the aging population and urbanization, we are gradually putting in place a social security system that benefits both urban and rural residents and encompasses social insurance, social relief, social welfare, and charity. In recent years, the coverage of the basic pension insurance, medical insurance, unemployment insurance, industrial injury insurance, and maternity insurance have all expanded. Last year, the number of people having basic pension insurance and medical insurance reached 186 million and 157 million respectively. Those having unemployment insurance and industrial injury insurance both exceeded 100 million. In addition, over 64 million people are covered by maternity insurance, and over 22 million urban dwellers in financial difficulties have subsistence allowances. The old widowed in rural areas, disabled people, minor orphans, and disaster victims got relief. Since 2001, China's fiscal expenditure on social security has increased by more than 15% annually. We will vigorously develop education and healthcare. To achieve harmonious development, we must first of all ensure social equity and promote comprehensive human development. A fair education would mean a fair start and a fair opportunity in the society. Giving top priority to education, we are committed to establishing a modern national education system and a lifelong education system to give everyone an opportunity for good education. We have given special attention to the extension and strengthening of the 9-year compulsory education to ensure that all children from the countryside and poverty-stricken urban families can afford to go to school. In addition, as part of the effort to narrow the gap between urban and rural areas and among different regions and groups of people, we will speed up the process of developing a basic healthcare system that covers both cities and the countryside, to deliver quality public health and basic medical services to the general public, and enable urban and rural residents to live a healthier life. The essence of peaceful development is to strive for a peaceful international environment, to develop ourselves and contribute through our own development to world peace and common development. The road of peaceful development is a serious choice and solemn commitment of the Chinese government and people. Since ancient times, the Chinese nation has valued peace and harmonious coexistence. A peaceful international environment is what the Chinese people need and cherish most. China's development poses no threat to anyone. Rather, it will only bring more development opportunities and a larger market to the rest of the world. Peaceful development serves the fundamental interests of the Chinese people and complies with the rules of progress of mankind. China, in keeping with the trend of economic globalization, strives for mutual benefits, win-win results, and common development with other countries. We rely on our own efforts, reform, and innovation to achieve development. On the other hand, we learn from and draw on other countries' experience of development. Mutually beneficial cooperation with other countries in enhancing common prosperity has provided us with valuable opportunities for development. At the same time, our own development offers enormous opportunities for other countries. From 1990 to 2005, profits from foreign-funded enterprises in China remitted overseas exceeded $280 billion. In 2006, China's imports were close to $800 billion, and in 2010, they will be over $1 trillion. China is a participant in the international system. We play our due role in maintaining and building it. We vigorously promote multilateral trade ties and regional economic cooperation. We abide by the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, firmly uphold the authority and role of the United Nations and its Security Council, take an active part in international peacekeeping activities and disaster relief, and play a responsible and constructive role in international affairs. In addition, we are committed to international trade and economic cooperation on a larger scale, in broader areas and at higher levels. Since China joined the WTO in December 2001, our average tariff rate has fallen from 15.3% in 2001 to 9.8% in 2007. And the openness of its service trade is almost up to the average level of developed countries. China actively promotes the Doha Round, properly handles trade frictions, and engages in high-energy dialogue and cooperation with other countries for the stability of the global energy market. China has expedited the development of free trade areas with countries and regions concerned. On climate change, China has acceded to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Kyoto Protocol and made its due contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, peace, development, and cooperation remain the trend of our time. In a changing global economy, Countries throughout the world have become more interdependent and their interests more closely linked. Major economies maintain buoyant growth, and the emerging markets and developing countries are driving the world economy with greater force. Nonetheless, instability and uncertainties affecting peace and development of humanity still exist, while traditional and non-traditional security threats mingle with each other. As mankind faces common opportunities and challenges, China is willing to work with the international community to narrow the economic gap, achieve win-win results through cooperation, and promote common development. Finally, I wish to take this opportunity to extend an invitation to all of you to the summer Davos in Dalian, China this September. I thank you.
Thank you very much, State Councillor. We are late in the evening, but I would just ask one or two questions. State Councillor, you mentioned in your remarks the Chinese government is focusing much more its attention on improving energy efficiency, environmental sustainability, and improved living standards. What role do you foresee for foreign business? We have here many large companies. What is the role for foreign business in respect of those policies?
To conserve energy and protect environment are two tasks, two top priorities to be firmly pursued by the Chinese government. It is our firm resolve and one of our basic state policies. We believe that in these two areas, we have a lot of things to do. We face a huge task before us. At the same time, it is also a new growth point and new bright spot in China's economic growth. I have a personal experience in the mid-1980s. I participated in the introduction program of China's thermal power programs. We introduced generating units from the Westinghouse companies in the US and also other equipment from Swiss companies. By introducing such advanced equipment at that time, we were able to reduce the energy consumption of electricity generation per unit from 460 kilo of coal to 320 kilo. And now we are able to use our homemade equipment to produce electricity. So I am saying here that we are now making efforts to conserve energy. It is not only a good opportunity for Chinese companies, but also a prime opportunity for foreign companies. Because China is a huge market. Our electricity market in China is second in the world, only to the United States. The amount is about 600 million kilowatts. So this is a big area. We want to introduce clean, safe, and affordable energy generation equipment. And of course, environmental protection is an important aspect in this area. The Chinese government always wants to provide blue sky, clean water to our people. To put it in a simple way, a golden or silver mountain is not as good as a green mountain. So the government is putting the preservation of the ecosystem and environment high on its agenda. And the central government does not have many restrictive indexes on the local governments. In the 11th five-year plan, we only set forth 3 targets for the local governments. The first is to reduce the energy consumption of per unit GDP by 20% in 5 years' time. And every year we have to cut that consumption by 4%. The second is to cut the emission of pollutants by 10%, and the annual target is 2%. And the third target is to control the growth of population. There cannot be a bounce back in the growth of population. Relatively, the environmental protection industry in China is still a young industry, but we are making efforts. For instance, last year, a lot of coal-fired electricity plants in China have been equipped with desulfurization equipment, but there is still a big gap in this regard. We hope that all the coal-fired electricity plants in China can be equipped with such technology. So we hope big foreign companies as well as small and medium-sized companies with advanced technology to come to China and develop more advanced and the next generation of clean technology in China, including the gasification of coal and combined cycle of generating units in China. All these are the direction of our efforts. So first, the government has the policy to support. And second, we have a huge market. And we also try our best to provide a level playing field and a more favorable environment for foreign companies to come into China.
We are seeing now the first generation of Chinese companies emerging as future global champions in major industries, and we are fortunate to have the chairman or presidents of some of those companies here with us. But let's assume, I think they are now on the Fortune 500 list, there are 17 or 18, if I'm not mistaken, Chinese companies. But if you expand as you have done in the past, and you have 50 to 100 Chinese companies on the Fortune list, what is the situation of what is the position of the government? How does the government view this trend? Because this trend could lead to some backlashes, as we have seen already in 1 or 2 specific cases.
Yes, Mr. President. What you have said is very encouraging and heartwarming. But I think that for Chinese companies to be leading enterprises in the world, there is still a long way to go before we realize it. Perhaps it is an overstatement to say that. As early as About 2,000 years ago, in the Han Dynasty of China, there is an envoy of the Han Dynasty at that time called Zhang Qian, who have pioneered the Silk Road. And 600 years ago, we have a great navigator, Zheng He, who have traveled to the Western Oceans. But in the modern time, we are still in an initial stage for Chinese companies to go global. We are still at a beginning period. Generally speaking, we haven't done enough, and our level is not very high. For instance, the share of the sale of these companies is not very large. And second, the coverage of the sales of these companies is not very large, and compared with the companies of other countries in the same sector, their coverage is not very large, and the share is still small. In particular, in terms of the possession of core technology, brand names, core professionals and intellectuals, and the stamina for further development, we still lag far behind. On the part of the Chinese government, we encourage our companies to go global. We ask our companies to follow the international practice and abide by the laws and regulations of the local countries. In particular, we stress that our companies, in going overseas, should pay special attention to corporate ethics and corporate responsibilities. I also want to take this opportunity to call upon the governments of other countries to give Chinese companies a fair and just investment and business environment. Thank you.
State Councillors, this will be certainly one of the key issues. This fair, plain, level field will be one of the key issues we will discuss in Dalian from the 6th to 8th of September, where we foresee to assemble about 1,000 of those global growth companies. I wanted to thank you on behalf of the audience here for sharing with us in such a comprehensive way your country's unique development path, with emphasis on, as an engineer I like it particularly, with emphasis on scientific development, harmonious development I think you used, and peaceful development. And we wish you success, because the success of China in undertaking those policies is not only important for your country, it's important for the world. So thank you very much again for having joined us today here in Davos. Thank you.